Jay here for Stretford Paddock. That's Stephen Howson. Manchester United having a 7-goal thriller down at Brentford.
Thriller's doing a lot of lifting.
It is doing a lot of lifting. I'm being facetious.
It might have been the most boring 7-goal thriller there's ever been.
It's such a weird game, wasn't it? If we can just cast our minds back to the first sort of half or beginning, when you saw the team, you saw the fact that it brought in a few youngsters, rested obviously Bruno, which is a big decision, doesn't happen very often. Was you all okay with that? Was you like, yeah, that makes sense? This game doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's all about Thursday.
Thought Fredriksen's looked good enough when we've seen him to be given another start.
Yep.
And I've been asking for Cheeto to get a start for ages. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. Felt like Amas was going to get one with the options that we've got available to us, and he's looked pretty decent when he's featured. So yeah, Mainoo's getting a start. That's continuing his rehab from his injury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I thought, okay, this makes sense. Obviously, United took the lead as well. You're thinking, no, hang on a minute. And then it felt like within 30 seconds, obviously a lot longer than that, everything just starts going wrong. Brentford get an equaliser, then Brentford get another goal. Then before you know it,
it's 4-1.
It's 4-1, and you're like, hang on a minute, are we getting battered again off Brentford? Then we obviously got a couple of late goals to make the scoreline a little bit more respectable. But that's just does this matter at all, Steve? And I know people go, well, of course Manchester United losing football matches matters. United should always want to win games. I get all that. But when you've got a league campaign that has just gone at the dogs so badly, and you've got a lifeline in the Europa, is it just a case of this is almost like not completely irrelevant, but almost like some sort of friendly in terms of the way you approach it, or does it matter more than that?
It's not irrelevant, but I think winning and losing is a habit, and I think standards are a habit as well.
Yeah.
And like people are saying, it's like the third youngest Premier League 11 has ever been fielded. I don't know if that's for us. I don't know if that's even true, but
Feels that could be. I mean, I think was it Cheedo's our youngest starter in the Premier League? Yeah. So
Cheedo's very young. You've had Yoro out there, you've had Amas out there. Mainoo and Garnacho are still very young. Fredriksen's, I think he's 20, isn't he? But he's young still.
Especially when you look at the amount. I know it's not age related, but especially the amount of appearances that these players have got.
it was definitely one of the more inexperienced. I feel like some of those final day of the season ones I felt more inexperienced, but whatever. Ultimately, I think, like I said, standards are a habit, and I actually thought some of the senior players, actually, the standards from them weren't good. I think Luke Shaw was sloppy.
I mean, he almost scored an own goal, didn't he, with an header that went wide. And then later on, he did get an own goal.
Yeah, that's unfair.
I know.
It's hit him, but it's not an own goal.
No. And then it just felt a bit like he's kind of having one, whether it's bad luck and also a bit of a mistake. And
he wasn't as good on the ball as he has been. Yeah. Since he's come back, he's looked great. He's had like 50, 60 passes each game since he's come back. He didn't get anywhere near that today, and he didn't look as assured with it today. I don't know if they was targeting him for the press, thinking he's usually quite secure, so let's press him. Him to Amas was just falling down all the time. Amas was getting pressed and he wasn't dealing with it well. Shaw was getting pressed, he wasn't dealing with it well. I just thought he didn't have a good one. Obviously, De Ligt's gone off injured. That's not a good one. I didn't think Mount, outside of his goal, did fuck all.
Yeah.
It was just like, when you've got some senior players on the pitch, and there wasn't a lot of them, you want them to kind of, bring on everyone else. Dorgu didn't have a good game.
I love Kobbie Mainoo more than I love my own children. I thought he was quiet today.
He had a couple of real good sort of through balls. One for the opener.
That was a great ball, to be fair.
Good vision on that one. And there was another one a little bit later on, same thing, where he's put it into he sent Garnacho off, and I think we got a chance from it. I can't remember what happened with it. But yeah, there was a couple of those like little through balls that he's done, but he wasn't winning his duels. He wasn't covering the ground enough. He wasn't positionally good from him. And it's nuts calling him a senior player, but compared to Fredriksen and Dorgu and Amas,
he's just turned 20,
guess what, mate? You're about third in line for the armband, so calm down. Yeah, ultimately, does it matter? It does matter, because at the end of the day, it's Manchester United. At the end of the day, these losses are going on Ruben Amorim's record, and you better believe TalkSport are queuing up to give him some stick about something, and it'll be a case of, if you remember, Ollie got second and third. He hasn't won anything, was the stick about him. Ten Hag wins 2 trophies essentially, gets grief about it.
Yeah.
And ultimately loses his job. And we weren't seeing enough progress in terms of his style of play, and they'll find a way to give him some shit. Now, if we do manage to have a good summer, which if he's doing a hell of a lot of heavy lifting there, if we manage to have a good summer and if we manage to win the Europa League, his record will be brought up against him next year, because it'll be like, well, what was he required to do? He's qualified for the Champions League and he's delivered a trophy. And they'll be like, yeah, but look at his win rate. That you know already that's getting brought up.
Yeah.
So I think for those reasons, it's going to be an issue if we continue to keep losing. Whether we finish 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th or 16th is genuinely, to me at least, fucking irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be a case of if we manage to sneak into 12, I don't think it's even possible now, I'll be like, oh, well, job done.
Yeah.
It's still not good enough, is it? It's the degrees of not good enough. And beyond, realistically, beyond 8th, does it matter?
No.
Does it matter if you're 9th or 10th or 11th? No, it's not. You can just draw a line through it and go, well, that was shit.
Yeah. I get your point as well about some of the senior players, because I think you have to as well sort of step up and make the most of these opportunities when you're giving them. And just too many players today just weren't quite at it, or didn't quite look up for it enough, or just rusty or whatever it is. Maybe because they've not had much game time. I don't know. I don't want to make too many excuses.
Sloppy is what I'd call it.
Yeah, sloppy. I think that was a fair reflection. We saw it, didn't we? And we just kept giving the ball back to Brentford as well. And look at the players that Brentford have got. They've got goal scorers in that team. I think Buemo and Visa have got like 30-odd goals between them this season. And you can see it today in terms of what they did. And
They looked good on the transition, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, just on a couple of players before we talk about Thursday. You mentioned Mount. Like, it's weird because he got his goal, didn't do a lot other than that. Do you think that he does work in his Ruben Amorim system? Do you think that if he's fit, he'll get a chance? Because I'm looking at him going, we're going to bring in Cunha. Like, that looks like it's going to happen. So there's one of the number 10's gone. You've got one other spot in that team. Is Mason Mount going to take it? And if he doesn't, then where does that leave him? Because he's still a 50-odd million pound player.
At best, it feels like he's a rotation option at the moment.
Yeah.
Or could he work a little bit deeper? That'd be a significant change of role for him, I think, if he was. I wouldn't put it out of the question to be a change of role.
Yeah.
I certainly think it's as likely as him having a starting role in one of the 10s.
Yeah, because he's not really cemented anything.
Gafford does seem to like him.
Yeah, he does.
And that can go a long way.
Maybe he's got he's a good trainer and he shows up for it and he feels like, look, injuries aren't his fault. You know, when he comes in at this team, he shows energy or whatever. Ugarte was the one in the chat that everyone was sort of saying probably did well today or was one of our better players today. It's weird because I'm sort of struggling to remember much about the game. If I'm thinking, being honest, we did the watch along, we were all chatting. What do you make of Ugarte though? I'll just ask you in broader strokes because he seems to divide opinion a lot. I know your boy Ronaldo was a bit sceptical about the signing and he's been a bit up and down with him, shall we say. Macca's the same. I didn't see much of him at PSG, so I'm just judging off what I've seen at Manchester United. I thought he had a very good start, a very solid start. I think there's been 1 or 2 games of late where I think, okay, could be better. Where do you stand on Manuel Ugarte? Do you think there's a player there for us?
Yeah, I do. I think he's not an issue in the slightest.
Yeah.
I think if you're expecting him to be the sort of player that gets on the ball, sprays it around, has 120 passes and dictates tempo, you're going to be disappointed in him because that's not what he does. I think he's a very functional, good fit. If you had 2 of them in midfield, you'd have a lot less defensive worries, certainly on a transition. You might not play the most attractive football the world's ever seen, but I think, he's not a Kante, and he ain't a Pirlo.
Yeah.
And, he probably lines closer to Kante than Pirlo in terms of what sort of a player he is. But I think people are very reductionist about what he does. I think he's perfectly capable of being in a possession-based team. I don't think he's Rodri.
No.
You know what I mean? I think he's absolutely functional and could do a job. And I don't think he's an issue where you're like, another one we have to replace. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
I think he just does a job. And sometimes you need people that just do sort of unsung kind of jobs. And
he seems to fit that role, doesn't he? Because in the past we've tried to shoehorn players into that. Whether it's a Fred, whether it's a McTominay, whether it's whoever. It's like, oh, can you play in this role that doesn't suit you? And I think at times
I think we're doing that with Bruno.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Just finally on Thursday, I mean, we're 3-0 up. It's just, do we get the big boys back and just, like you said on the review after the first leg, just have a 0-0 where
just stink the gaff out, yeah.
Yeah, stink the gaff out and just celebrate.
Stink the gaff out and we'll sort of conga out in the Stretford end. Don't worry about that. You lot just stink the gaff out, make it proper boring.
Yeah.
Go and put your goal kick down.
Yeah.
And then go and put it on the other side.
Then let the winger take it.
Then just grab your knee and go, actually, Harry, do you fancy taking it? Just, when we get a throw in, give the ball a squeeze. Ask the ref if he thinks that's the right is that the right temperature?
Try moving it forward a bit so the referee moves you back, so that wastes another 10 seconds.
Honestly, listen, if you want, I can come down on Wednesday, we'll do a Stevie Shithouse session, and we'll just go through like a pure dark arts with Steve.
Pure Dark Arts with Steve. That's going to be a new segment on this channel after the brew on a Friday afternoon. Go and check out Steve on his other channel. Go and check out Stephen Howson TV and Stretford Paddock FC as well. They got promoted this week, so well done to you again. You know where to find me. We're back tomorrow with the Paddock podcast, plus we'll have reaction from likes of Andy Tate, plus the review's already up. That's been Howson. I've been Jay. This has been a review. Manchester United losing at Brentford. Thanks for watching.